What's up, Lo? Hope everybody's doing great. Happy Friday. Really pumped about this week's Friday Finds email. And we've had some awesome stuff the last couple of weeks, and some really special people get on and share their stories. We wanted to change it a little bit this week and really take a deep dive into a specific moment in swimming history. And a really special moment for United States swimming. So take a moment and go back over that email from Wednesday that Coach Nick sent out talking about the 2004 Olympics and the men's 4x200 freestyle relay. In this race, the U.S. is an underdog, and they go on to win and beat the favorite Australia with the current world record holder at the time and gold medalist Ian Thorpe. So just a really awesome moment. And for today's video, we brought on Peter Vanderkaay, who swam the third leg on that relay for the United States. And for those of you that might not be as familiar with Peter, he has one impressive resume. Really specialized in the middle distance to distance free. Looking at his international experience alone, he was a 3-time Olympian. Won the gold in 2004 that we'll see on this relay. Won a gold in Beijing in the same relay, the 4x2, and a bronze in the 200 free in Beijing. And in London in the 2012 Olympics, finished his career with a bronze medal in the 400 free. So looking at that body of work, his career from 2004 to 2012, Peter was a member of 3 consecutive U.S. Olympic team rosters. So that in itself is an incredible achievement. Also part of 5 U.S. World Championship teams, 4 long course and 1 short course. And from those World Championships, won 4 gold medals and 1 silver medal. Is also a member of 2 Pan-Pacific teams and 1 University Games. So just his international experience alone, not to mention was a former American record holder. So Peter really dominated the United States freestyle for that time period and was super successful internationally. Collegiately during his time, he swam at the University of Michigan. As you might imagine, he was dominant as well. Won the 500 free 3 years in a row in 2004, 2005, and 2006, and also won the mile in 2004. We chat about it briefly in the video, but in 2004, the NCAA's a few months before the Athens Olympics, there was a slightly different format, and the meet was in short course meters. So that hasn't been done since, so it's kind of a unique thing there. At that NCAA's, Peter wins the 400 free and the 1500 instead of the normal yards format. Obviously, Peter, an incredible athlete, extremely hardworking. Something I always think about whenever I'm talking to Peter is just how humble he is. So well spoken, and the kind of guy that when he walks in a room, people stop and listen. And his leadership, just can't say enough about it. And I speak from that personally. Going into Michigan a few years after he graduated, even then, he was the example that we were all kind of striving for. And he definitely was a great leader on his teams at Michigan, but that just says something about him that, a freshman coming in 3 years after, we know his name, we know how he operated, and that example was something we all worked to achieve ourselves. At Michigan, he was a captain, and one unique thing with Peter, that final Olympic team he was a part of in 2012 in London, he was voted captain of that team. And I know The Last Dance was just on recently, and early on in that documentary, they touch on the 92 Dream Team with Jordan and Bird and Magic, and that type of team. That's what happens with USA Swimming every Olympics, and think about that team and those stars. Peter was voted by everyone on the swim team, on the United States swim team. Peter was voted captain for the games. So you have the best of the best, and they're all collectively looking to him for leadership. And I just think what a tremendous example, and just a testament to who he is. And that's just why I'm so excited for this video today. He shares such great experience and such a great perspective, but we also get to hear from him while he's swimming. The race video is going on. It's a little grainy, so maybe you want to pull the race video up on a separate page. It is 2004, so it's a little grainy anyway, but just to hear from him and hear about the moment and how that impacted him as an athlete and a person, and kind of hear it live as the race is going on is just an awesome experience, and I'm just really thankful and excited to share it with everybody. We'll get right into it. Interview with 3-time Olympian and former American record holder Peter Vanderkaay. All right, man. So looking at specifically for you, 2004, I know like awesome year for you looking back at the NCAAs, you know, and then making your first Olympic team. Can you kind of share with us, before we even get into the race, that time in your career? How was training going? Like, what was it like making your first team?
Yeah, so I remember, I guess I'll start off with leading up to 2004. The summer before, I had made my first USA national team and went to South Korea for World University Games and really had a big meet there. I got a bronze medal in the 1500.
Nice.
And we got a silver medal in the 4x200 free relay. So I did best times there. I had a lot of motivation going into the college season that year, which was actually swam short course meters for the NC2As. So everyone was kind of gearing up for that Olympic year, swimming meters. And I was just really motivated. I had done well the previous year, got second in the 1650, and you know, the person that beat me graduated. It was actually Eric Vent. So he you know, exhausted his eligibility. I was the next guy in line, so I felt like there was already kind of a target on my back, and I wanted to go out there and try and win that event. So trained hard all through the college season. And then you have trials, and trials was something I had never experienced before. It's a very high pressure, exciting meet. And I think I was a little bit shell-shocked going into that. Not that I wasn't prepared. I just, you know, I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. And that first event that I swam was the 400 free, and had a pretty good race, but ended up third and didn't make the team, which was, you know, still a good swim for me, but obviously I was disappointed in that. That's not the place you want to be at trials.
Yeah.
And I knew going into the next event, the 200 free, the relay would probably be my best chance. And I ended up getting third at trials, and it was very tight, but it was Phelps and Cleat Keller were the top two, and then I was third.
Gotcha.
That just kind of stamped me as a member of the Olympic team, but didn't necessarily give me or secure me a spot on the night relay.
Mm-hmm.
They take the top 6 people, and they sort it out as you get into camp and into the games, trying to get the best 4 to swim for the actual medal. So, you know, just kept preparing and went into Athens. And it's funny because I remember, you know, they take the top, you have the 4 alternates, and I was, based on my trials, swim the top alternate. So it was kind of my spot to lose. It ended up being very close between me, Lochte, and Ketchum. And I edged out Ketchum by just a couple hundredths.
Wow.
And so the coaches gave me the nod for the night relay. And I think Dan would have done as well of a job, but they, you know, they called me up, and I said, I want to be there for my team, my country. And that brings us to the race, which was a super exciting race, a heck of a race for my first Olympic race.
Yeah.
But super exciting and a lot of fun to be a part of. The only thing I remember in terms of chatter going into that relay was who's going to get the silver, because Australia is going to win the gold medal. They have Thorpe, who's the world record holder. He's kind of in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
You have Grant Hackett, who's in the prime of his career. And they had Nick Springer and Michael Klim. And those guys had all been on the world record-setting relay, defending Olympic champs, you know, seconds ahead of everybody on the psych sheet.
Yeah.
So, you know, us going in, we were somewhat unproven. Cleat Keller had been to the Olympics before. You know, 2 of our alternates, Nate Dusing and Scott Goldblatt, had been to the games before. But Lochte hadn't, I hadn't, Phelps had, but not in a relay capacity. And we felt that we could give them a run. We just had to swim our own race. And our coaches devised a great strategy, which was get Michael out quick against Grant Hackett, who was a great 200 freestyler, but Phelps had the edge on him and more speed. And then the rest of us would try and build that lead, knowing that Cleet Keller was going to go against Thorpe at the end, and we'll see how the chips fall. Obviously we ended up winning that race, but not by a lot. And the plan worked. Cleet was the ultimate cool customer on the end who swam his own race. And, as we watch it, you'll see how Thorpe overswam his race. And it probably cost him the medal.
Totally. And before we get into the actual race video, I know you mentioned you're swimming for your country. This is your first Olympics. And then even looking back at the collegiate season that spring, I know you guys won the 4x2. Michigan won the 4x2 at NC's. How did, even that meet or your time at Michigan being on that team, how did that compare or prepare you to then be on this, this dream team, this United States swim team? Were there similarities there that you felt prepared, or were there big differences at all? Or
I think the mission was the same. In the Michigan team, we had a culture of, work hard, take care of each other. And that year we had a smaller team. I think we only had about 18 or 20 people on that team.
Wow.
So it was a smaller team, but we all had a common goal, and we're all motivated to get to that end point. And we weren't going to be a factor in winning NC2As. We just didn't have the bodies, but we ended up getting fifth. And I think that leadership that came from guys like Dan Ketchum on down prepared me really well for the Olympics, because it was always about the team.
Yeah.
It's never about one swimmer. It's about trying your best, supporting each other, taking care of each other, and just going out there and trying your best.
Yeah.
So, the NC2A on the ladder of important meets isn't as high as the Olympics. It was still the same concept, and I just took that concept and applied it to the Olympic Games, and it was all the same principles.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, hey, we'll get right into this. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you, and we'll kind of get into it. There we go. Cool. Can you see that all right, Peter?
Yep.
Sweet. Awesome. So everybody, this is the race we sent out earlier this week, the A final of the 4x2 Freestyle Relay from 2004 Olympics. So we'll get right into it here.
Will anchor the Aussies.
Can you hear that all right,
in
too,
lane
Peter?
5, the United States
Sweet.
in lane 4. And Rowdy, based on what you saw of the times earlier today, you think the United States has a better chance of perhaps getting the gold here than you first thought?
How many times have I crunched those numbers all day today?
You've been a maniac talking about this race.
I've been doing it all day long, and every time I come to the conclusion, it's going to come within a couple of tenths of a second. Either way, Australia sometimes wins it in my book, and then the U.S. wins it. You just don't know, but Michael Phelps is going to be a key leg, obviously leading off, but it's the two youngsters in the middle of the lane, middle of that order for the United States and Australia that are going to be determining who wins this relay. You kind of know. There's Lofty right there. You kind of know what Phelps is going to do. And Cleet Keller and Ian Thorpe and Grant Hackett. The unknown is in the middle of the pool. Australia.
So Peter, that's as you know, that's Rowdy on there, kind of talking about you and Ryan being the young guns, the rookies in the middle. What were the emotions for you going into this? Was it, I got to treat this like any other race? Did it have that big stage feeling? What were you feeling there behind the blocks?
So it was probably as nervous and as excited as I had ever been in my life to compete. I remember taking the bus over to warm up, knowing that I was going to be on the night relay, and just feeling all kinds of butterflies in my stomach, probably, to my detriment if I had kept those emotions throughout the course of that session. But once I got to the pool, John Urbanchek, who was my coach, was the same guy that he is every day on the pool deck. Fun, loves the spirit of competition and very reassuring. And I just got in and warmed up, and it felt like any other meet I'd ever been to in my life.
Wow.
I felt great. I was ready to go, and I thought, there's no reason to be super nervous about this. I just got to go out there and do my job. And it's something I had prepared for every single day in practice. And that's the beauty about practice, is you have that opportunity to work on those little things so that when you get to this meet, whatever meet that is, you're really just going through the motions.
Yeah. Don't have to do anything different,
Right.
That's awesome, man.
Australia has not lost this race in 7 years in major international competition.
I guess before everyone dives in here, just looking at those flags, looking at the lanes, was there, I know you touched a little bit with Australia, was that kind of the team, were they the favorites? Were you just thinking about them, or were you kind of keeping your eye on maybe Great Britain a little bit, or what was kind of the focus of the squad?
So we knew Australia was going to be really tough to beat. Everyone else, was still very good, but they didn't have the full relay strength that we had.
Yeah.
When you just put our times up with anybody else, we were going to beat everybody, assuming, there wasn't a disaster of some sort.
Sure.
But Australia was not a given. They were probably better on paper. But I think we took them out of their comfort zone a little bit with our strategy, and I can talk about that as the race plays out.
Sure.
Rowdy mentioned it leading up to this point. The Ryan and I in the middle, nobody knew how that was going to shake out, and our job was just to try and keep building that lead that Phelps is going to get us out of the gate.
Totally. All right, we'll get it going here.
Australian lane 5, above them the Americans
US
in lane 4.
Australian lane 5.
So
there's Michael going off first. Here, you mentioned times on paper. What do you mean when you say that? Is that like coach's notes, or what does that exactly mean there?
So the times on paper were basically just our best times added up. Now, relay starts take a little bit of consideration into that, because you're going to be faster on a moving start than a flat start.
Yeah.
But that's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you had our 4 best times against Australia's 4 best times, it was pretty close.
Yeah.
We were really the unproven entity there. We knew what they were going to do. Is what could we do?
There's Michael at the 100. So then looking at like Michael's leadoff, right? He's having an awesome meet. Are you then like watching his splits, and do you have like, boom, he's got to be 146 mid, or are you more just looking at where he's at in the race? If he touches the wall in the lead, then he got the job done. Are you worrying about those details, or you just kind of let it happen?
Yeah, we're certainly watching it, and Michael out in 52 was right about where he needed to be.
Yeah.
The question was what was Hackett going to be out in? As you can see, Phelps was just pulling away here. Hackett was in great shape, but the 200 is just a little bit short for him.
Yeah.
So he's struggling to keep up with Michael's 200 ability there. So Phelps almost has a body length lead going into Lochte diving in the water, and Lochte's going against Michael Klim, who's more of a 100-200 guy, 50-100-200 guy, and you can see Klim is catching right up to him, significantly in that first 50. And anyone who's gone out really hard in a 200 on the first 50 knows what that feels like on the last 50, right? But, you know, I'm sure Michael Klim was so nervous and excited just to catch up that he just overswam the first half of his race here. So now we're looking at it like, okay, they're almost neck and neck. Is Klim going to hold on or not? And, you know, he could have a monster race and hold on, in which case we're going to be in big trouble. Or Lochtey's going to back half this pretty good.
Yeah, was the expectation here that you jump in with a lead, or were you thinking more, hey, if it's even, we're good?
The expectation was I was going to go in with a lead. And here I'm looking at the last 50, and we don't have much of a lead. So I'm starting to feel a little bit nervous that, you know, somebody's got to get Cleat Keller a lead here.
Yeah.
Luckily, as you can see how this plays out, Lochte really motors home that last 50. Klim, not so much. And actually, I think that is that Italy down in the lane 2.
Yeah, I think
is actually ahead of them.
Yeah. So I pause it here, Peter. You're just getting ready to go flying here. What's going through your mind right now? Is it just, were you a blinders on kind of guy, or was it a holy moly, like here we go? Or
yeah, I think they were springs on the bottom of my feet off that block, so I was just ready to explode.
Awesome.
And I just knew the one thing I couldn't do was give up the lead. And if anything, I had to just get a little bit more so that Cleat would have a shot.
Yeah, man. We'll
how big is it going to
see how it goes here.
As Vanderkaay goes into the pool and Springer in for Australia. Well, still a second.
So that's Nick Springer, who was actually, you know, a very similar swimmer to me, 200, 400, 1500 guy. So I know he's, you know, he's got endurance. He's not going to die on the end. I don't want to overswim my first 50 and 100 so that he catches me.
Totally. I've heard you say that a lot today, just talking about swimming your own race, you know, and it seems like a theme that you 4 guys were able to do that, right, compared to some other teams.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it was because Australia had the mark on their back as the favorite that they got taken out of their race, whereas we just went in there to swim our own race. You know, I think that probably played into it.
Looking great, man. How were you? Do you remember anything from the race, what you were feeling? Like, could you see that you were in the lead? Did you feel like they were gaining on you? Do you remember anything from the specifics?
Yeah, so I remember actually Nick and I swam almost the exact same race. I might have edged him out by a 10th or 2. But he didn't overswim his race, and that was about what we expected from him. And it for me, it was very similar to the race I had swam in the morning. But I knew with that amount of lead, it was going to be close. And you can see Cleat and Thorpe go in the water, and look at Thorpe's kick.
Yeah. In that suit.
Yeah, he's got the old full body suit on.
Yeah. Wow.
But you can see how quickly he catches up to Cleat.
Yeah. Boom, just like that. So you can see definitely why the strategy was Michael gets the lead, Ryan extends it, holds on, you extend it to hold on. Because, yeah, I mean, look at what Thorpe did in 75 meters. Man.
Yeah, and I mean, they flipped just about even. We're sitting there whistling and clapping and yelling and banging on the block. and Cleat's holding his own. So we're thinking, can he do it?
Yeah.
But you can see, Cleat starts to pour it on here, and Thorpe's already starting to fade a little bit. His kick is not as strong as it was that first 50.
Yeah, he really jumped on it.
On the other hand, he's the world record holder and the Olympic gold medalist in this event, the best swimmer in the world in this event. And, even if he went out too hard, you never know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's streaming to the other side. He can't see it, sir. And here he comes. Swift just put his left into it. 8 meters left. Killer of the United States. Looks like he's going to hold on.
And, we had to touch him, I think it was 13/100ths of a second.
There we go. Yeah.
And Cleat always had the best finishes in practice.
Mm-hmm.
He'd always be touching people out, and he worked on that every day. So it was no surprise that he had a great finish here, out-touched Ian, and, we went from the underdogs to breaking the American record and winning the Olympic gold medal. It's just a surreal, very proud moment.
Yeah, man. It's awesome seeing you guys celebrate like that. I remember because 2 days ago, or 2 days before this, right, South Africa wins the 4 free. It was
right.
Awesome. You guys come back, get it done. So cool. I think it's awesome too, man. Like, boom, sportsmanship.
Well, all those guys were really great guys too. Mm-hmm. Very friendly. And I mean, they gave it a heck of an effort. We just happened to touch them, and it was just a fantastic race. But I know they were disappointed. I think they, if you talked to any of those guys after, they probably said we didn't swim the races we could have swam.
That's well, yeah. That I know we talked a little bit before we got on camera here. I just remember that race as a 13-year-old just being so inspiring for me. I was just getting personally just, starting to pick up my own training, and just getting a chance to talk that through with you, man, was pretty cool. What a cool moment. So you go on then, in 08, having awesome games, 12 comeback, awesome games. We can look at that race and see your leg and see how well Michael does and Ryan does, and see what you do and extend that lead, and then Cleat get it done, and see how special of a moment it was. But kind of looking back over your career, was there anything, really unique about that moment that you feel like kind of sparked you moving forward, or anything like you really helped kind of shape you?
Yeah, I think it taught me, not to sound like a broken record, but you have to swim your own race.
Yeah.
That there's no better example of that in my career than that race. And, you can do anything if you work hard enough and want it bad enough, and you believe in yourself, and you stay confident, and you do all the right things. Good things will happen. They don't always happen exactly when you want them. I believe that, but I think if you work hard, that's never lost. And working on those little details on a day-to-day basis are so important. For me, that was kind of the jump start to my Olympic career. I knew I wanted to go back, and I wanted to go back and have a shot at winning some individual medals too. I love the relays. I've always loved the relays. Being able to share that experience and work as a team to win a medal or achieve a common goal was always super fun for me.
Yeah.
And you can't replace that excitement that you see from a teammate in an individual race. It's just very different.
Yeah, seeing how you all react when Cleat hits that wall, it's definitely a testament there, And I know we were talking a little bit before the race how you felt behind the blocks. How would you say being on that relay, how did that affect your nerves, right? Was it more nerve-wracking knowing like Michael was on a leadoff, or did that give you that confidence, right? Did you feel more nervous knowing that, okay, I got to set up cleat on the anchor, or did being a part of that team, did that give you more confidence in the moment?
It certainly gave me a lot of confidence to have Michael lead it off. When you're leading off, though, and you know you're probably going to be in the lead, you certainly don't want to give that up. And I just remember thinking, I got to do my job. I got to try and build this lead.
Thank you.
And you know, had Phelps not had that lead, it might have shook me a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he did what he was supposed to do, and we just kind of fell in line. And that, you know, that's good coaching. It's good execution. It's all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example of why relays are so special. That ability, that contagious energy. You know, you see somebody lead off, drop that time, do his job, do her job. Next guy, next person does the same thing. I mean, it just builds, you know.
Yeah.
That was really special, man. And you know, with our team now kind of looking a little bit more locally, right? Like, you know, we're starting to phase back in. It's been a long couple months for a lot of people. But we've really been focusing on the power of that team and what that can do for you mentally and physically, right? For all the kids on the team watching this video, do you have, you know, and seeing that race, do you have kind of any advice for them? Or, you know, we talked how that race affected you. Just anything that you could share with them, kind of doesn't have to be necessarily how they're going through this time specifically, but just in the realm of being on a team in the sport of swimming.
Yeah, and I, you know, I feel badly for all the kids that have had to take this. Really, it's been a mandatory break. But if there's any silver lining in this, it's the understanding that we have to appreciate the opportunities that we have when we have them, right? Because you never know when they're going to be taken away. And you always took for granted the fact that you could go to swim practice until you can't, right? And, you know, you take for granted that you're a part of the team and you're a part of something bigger than yourself until you can't be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody's been quarantining and social distancing and, you know, hasn't had the interaction. And I'm sure people are super excited to get back into that team environment. But I would say don't take it for granted and really cherish that opportunity to help somebody else get better, because that person's going to help you get better. And if you have that mentality and it spreads like wildfire on a team, you guys will do some incredible stuff.
Awesome.
So if you think about those days when you didn't want to go to practice, or if you see somebody on your team that looks like, hey, I don't want to be here, try and pick them up, try and do whatever you can to make the team better. And you won't have to think about yourself. Somebody else will be thinking about you. So that would be my advice. Enjoy getting back this opportunity and make the best of it. I think all we can do in this sport, in any sport in our life, is try our best, right? There's expectations out there, but if you try your best, you can be happy. And especially in this sport, you can be a champion. You don't have to go to the Olympics to be a champion in this sport. You just have to see improvement. If you've improved, you're a champion.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
It's awesome, man. Totally. And I love that message at the end there, like what a champion means, you know, because we both know the recipe that goes into that improvement is what makes a champion, right? It's not always necessarily the result, right? That's awesome, Peter. Well, hey man, one kind of fun thing. So we, our club name is Ladera Oaks, and we made a little team symbol here with the L for Ladera and the O, and kind of a rite of passage for any guest. Do you mind throwing one of those up for the squad? There you go. And then, you got it. There you go. There you go. We'll count it. Nice.
Am I doing it right?
You nailed it. That's awesome, buddy.
I wish you guys the best, and thanks for having me on. That was fun to relive that, and I hope you guys took something away. And if there's any follow-up questions down the road, I'll be available for you guys.
Thanks so much, Peter. We appreciate it, man.
You're welcome, Roman.